Would you get upset if I just started licking your microphone? Luke, what do you got for me?
Today this is going to be a long episode, so strap in. I want to go over your personal Mount Rushmores of 3 separate things. 4 best comedians, worst comedians, and most overrated comedians. If you can't come up with 4 for each category, we can kind of just
collaborate.
We'll talk about best comedians first.
Well, if I have like a 5th, I might cross one out. Yeah.
Rules are Mount Rushmore, 4 faces.
Okay.
And are these just in any? These are 4 best.
Yeah,
or
just no
these
specific.
Are,
I'm
okay.
not. Yeah, I
okay.
didn't think. I don't
That's
think
what
enough to.
That's
I'd
what
have
I'll
to
do.
take time to rank them, but I'll take Carlin.
Carlin.
I've been watching a lot of his stuff lately, and it's oh yeah.
Yeah.
No wonder he's argued the best.
Yes.
And then I like Brian Regan a lot.
Ooh.
Anthony Jeselnik.
Jeselnik. He thinks he's one of the greatest of all time.
Yeah. Then Bo Burnham.
Ooh, Youngblood.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. That's a respectable list. I'll list mine now. Then we can kind of make our arguments for each. I'm Carlin. Okay, so this list also is we're not taking into account, we're judging the art, not the artist.
Okay. Yeah.
The rest is Bill Cosby 3 times.
Okay.
No, Louis C.K.
Yeah, we don't care what people did in their personal lives.
I mean, I heard about him jacking off in front of people years ago, and then it comes out that it was happening, and all these comedians are like, I had no idea. And it's like, you're friends with them, and Dave Chappelle's like, I didn't know what he was doing. Yeah.
You probably shook his hand right after.
Carlin, Louis C.K., Burr, and Patrice O'Neal.
Okay.
I think we both just agree on Carlin. It's understandable why he's often brought up as...
his writing is so... pinpoint accuracy that he brought
What? What the fuck? Dude, these pants are freshly clean too.
We got to put him in a home.
Okay, so Carlin, yes, he's like a clinical writer. He could have just been like an author probably.
Did he write for other comedians at all or no?
I don't know that he did. I've never really read up on that.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm sure if he did, it'd be their best comedy special. They'd be like, oh, this one was really good. And it's yeah, because someone else wrote it for him.
I don't know that there's any comedians who have other comics write their material for an actual special. Jim Gaffigan works with his wife. His specials will say written by him and his wife, Jeannie. But nobody gives him any chagrin for that because they collaborate on the writing. But comics will write for TV shows. They'll Patton Oswalt gets hired to punch up scripts for TV shows and movies. I don't know if he does that.
Sitcoms and stuff.
I don't know if he does that anymore. But Whitney Cummings would write for other people that aren't comedians. She would write their material for the roast of Bob Saget or whoever.
You know the song "Mama, I'm Coming Home" by Ozzy?
Mm-hmm.
That was written by Lemmy from Motorhead.
Of course it was.
Yeah.
Of course it was.
And it's why?
So yes, Carlin, it's understandable why he's constantly argued as the greatest of all time.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just unbelievably prolific. He just worked right up until he died.
Just got more angry and angrier.
Yeah, just started hating everything more and more.
When he's on campus, he's way more goofy than he is halfway through his career, where he gets more political and more serious. And
his ability to go from a 10-minute piece about the Gulf War, he goes from that to then making jokes about farts and poop, instantly switches to, he would present observational comedy in a very childlike way. He had a childlike wonder about him.
Yeah.
You ever notice? It's like he's talking to a bunch of kids. You ever notice?
Yeah, and the way he uses his, like you said, his voice to do different inflections for different moods and stuff, and
It's
depending
just
on the
so
joke
good.
and stuff. Didn't he start the thing where once you do a stand-up, you scrap it all? Because way back in the day, wouldn't people just do their whole career the same set?
Yeah, Jerry Seinfeld. Yeah, I mean, a lot of comics would write their hour and work with that same hour for
15,
a decade.
20 years, yeah.
Like Louis, he, I think initially was kind of these are my jokes, and he was telling the same series of jokes for quite a while, and then he was I need to start fresh once a year. And then his output was prolific until a couple of women came forward. Okay, so Brian Regan argument.
I just think like he's like one of the people where I actually laugh really hard at his jokes because I usually don't laugh out loud. And I think it's like for him being a cleaner comic, it's harder for him to write jokes. Like he can't get like a cheap laugh by just like
us.
Yeah.
Very much another one where his performance is key to how good he is. His very animated.
Like him talking about the eye doctor. It's like, this shouldn't be funny.
But it's absolutely hilarious.
Yeah. Yeah, because I think he's one of like 2 comics that I've seen live.
Your list has 2 of those comics. Right. You've seen him live. You never saw Carlin because he died. Okay, so then I have Louis C.K. He was the first comic I feel like I became obsessed with his material. The output that he had from Shameless, which was 2007, up until... I would say, Oh My God, which was 2014. So 7 straight years where he was just fucking pumping out material that was all good and different and was also making the show on FX that he was writing, where he was putting an hour of his stand-up into the show and then also would release a separate hour on his website or on HBO or whatever. Yeah.
That would be hard to be like a comedian. It's just like, because after a while, it's like, what do you think of to try and...
You just have to live life. I think you have to experience things.
Imitating art.
But Louis definitely took influence off Carlin. Really dump all your material and then start new. And what he would do, because he was so insane, the jokes he was telling in 2009, whatever one of those jokes killed the hardest, in 2010, he would open every set with that joke to like bury himself. Like I killed the crowd instantaneously and now I have to keep them for an hour.
And that would just be like when he's working out his new special.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's unfortunate he did what he did. Not because I feel bad for him. I feel like he shouldn't have done that, obviously, but very influential then because of it, not because of him jacking off in front of women. I mean, he might've influenced a couple of people, but, okay. Jesselnick.
Just in the vein of like him or like Jimmy Carr, like the more outrageous, the better. Like
dark.
Yeah.
A lot of jokes that there's a turn. He's not a storyteller.
Yeah, it's unexpected. He does have like some like one-liners, but it's like not as good as like Mitch Hedberg's one-liners.
Yeah.
And
some of their jokes are so damn well constructed where it's not a joke until the very last word. Mark Normand is another one that has a lot of like jokey jokes. Like he just rapid fire jokes. Sam Morril, another one.
I think coming like of newer comedians, I think he's like one of my favorite.
Mark Normand.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I think he would take offense to this, but he's a jokey joke writer. Like he writes jokes. Yeah, that's the job of any comic. But like a lot of comics tell long stories that have jokes throughout or funny moments throughout.
No, he's just telling jokes.
He's just jokes, which is like, that's pure comedy then. And same thing with Jesselnick. All right, so then I have Burr. 2 of the 4 people on this list are redheads, just like me. So I wonder if I have a little bit of a bias.
Why didn't you put yourself on there?
Oh, I know. I think that redheads, you grow up being the punching bag, and so you have to learn how to be funny. I don't think I've learned it yet. Burr, kind of like Louis, where
he had like a good decade.
And he's still on, like his latest special was still really, really good. Out of all the comics I've seen live, the first time I saw him, I was like...
starstruck or like...
Not necessarily that. It's just like, holy shit. This is a professional comedian. Just so natural. When I met him, I wasn't very starstruck. I just like shook his hand and said hi. And he was like, thanks for coming out.
Redheads, huh?
Yeah. See you later. Yeah. So, Bo Burnham.
I just think he's had like a good career so far, like with his TV show. And then as a filmmaker, like he changed drastically, made 8th grade, and he's good in Promising Young Woman. And his stand-ups aren't all the same. No. They were in the beginning, they kind of were, but he's had like a lot of different ideas or concepts for his specials. So it's... Yeah,
they always seem, obviously they always have music involved in them, but his evolution definitely from a YouTuber to where he is now is very astonishing.
I just think like his career is not like, it's multifaceted. So that's why picked him, I guess.
Oh yeah, no, and his specials are all fantastic. Like his stand up alone is so good. It's very. I mean, there's plenty of other musician comics.
Who else is a musician comic?
Tim Minchin. He definitely would be a huge influence, I would assume, on Bo.
Weird Al, but he's
but
a musician.
He's not a stand-up comic.
But a lot of people like him.
Dimitri Martin.
Oh yeah,
would have a lot of songs, and he's good.
Yeah, some of his stuff. I've only seen like one or two of his, but they were both funny.
He's very good.
His TV show is pretty good too.
Important Things.
Yeah.
Yeah, Bo is. I mean, you could argue he's somewhat of a voice of our generation.
Yeah, we can like relate with like.
Definitely can relate.
Stuff.
His special Make Happy, when he said, I don't go to the gym because I'm self-conscious about my body, but I'm self-conscious about my body because I don't go to the gym. That hit me so hard. Why am I covered in tattoos other than the fact that I didn't like the way I looked? I'm white. I'm translucently white.
Like that I So Pale lady?
Yeah.
I so pale.
You're on it.
Today's snow is crippling much of the Washington Low.
I have the same body as Bo Burnham because he's damn near naked in his newest special. And I was like, hey, it's me. I mean, Netflix gave him a fucking special entirely made by himself.
And it turned out pretty good. Like
pretty good?
Like, I don't know who else would be able to like film their own special like as good as he did.
I mean, he got a lot of shit too initially because he came from YouTube to like theaters.
Yeah, like because he didn't earn it.
The old timers. Yeah. And not only become a stand-up comic, but a good one. Mm-hmm. A great stand-up comic. Like,
yeah, like selling out like Madison Square Garden.
Well, even that, selling out doesn't mean anything. Andrew Dice Clay was the first comic to ever sell out at Madison Square Garden. And Dice Clay's funny, but he's not like greatest of all time funny. No. You know, like I
think he's just
mass appeal is not necessarily great. Yeah, I guess that's but you
true.
Know, yeah. I wish he would like do more podcasts. He went on Mark Maron's podcast years ago, and Mark was kind of shitty towards him because it was the old thing where it's like, you didn't cut your teeth in the way I had to.
But that's like the first place I heard like the older guys like kind of praise him for like,
yeah,
they weren't like shitty to him.
Last but not least, another one who, if he was alive today, would probably be canceled.
A lot of people don't even know who he is.
Twitter doesn't like Patrice
Twitter's
O'Neal.
Not real.
Because he was a self-proclaimed misogynist and he had no qualms with hiding that fact. But Patrice, if he was still alive, he would be I feel like he'd be in the same conversation as Burr and Louis and the GOATs right now.
Oh, I thought you were going the Mount Rushmore of canceled comedians.
Well, this almost is a Mount Rushmore. But
just need Cosby and...
Patrice was the first comic that passed away in my lifetime that I was like, actually very, very sad when I heard he died. I was so bummed, and like I still regularly think about how sad it is that he passed. And it's so crazy how influential he was to massive names in comedy now.
Yeah, because I don't really know much about his career at all. I know what was it, Elephant in the Room?
Elephant in the Room.
I think that's the only one I've ever watched.
That's his only special. Like full hour special. He had albums and stuff, but that was the only one that was like taped, and it was a year before he passed away.
Oh, okay. Because he was on like radio shows, wasn't he?
He was on Opie and Anthony all the time and was fantastic on there. He was very good on there. He had his own radio show on Sirius that was called the Black Phillip Show because I think he was like Dr. Phil, but Black Phil.
Oh, okay.
And he would just talk about being a misogynist, basically. Like, that's why he didn't get famous, is he burned every bridge he could find.
Spike Lee was like, you're too much, or...
Well, Spike Lee had him in the movie 25th Hour.
Mm-hmm.
And then they were going to have him, like, he wanted him to, like, meet with him about another movie. And so Spike Lee called him personally and was like, hey, I want to talk to you about this movie. And Patrice was like, you don't call me and have me turn you down for a movie. You're supposed to call my agent or have your agent call my agent. And then Opie and Anthony were like, if Spike Lee calls you and asks if you want to be in a movie, you say, yes, I want to be in the movie. Like,
right.
Why? What? And so Spike Lee never called him again because he called him once and he was like, why'd you call me? It's like, what do you mean? He's Spike Lee. He was his own worst enemy. He did not give a fuck about what anyone thought. He's like, I'm the authority on what's funny in this room right now, and I'm going to say whatever I want.
Right. I've never understood that. Like, people that go to stand-up shows and then they're offended. It's like...
Never go to a stand-up show then.
That's kind of their point of their whole gig.
I mean, unless it's a Michael Richards situation where it's like he's clearly not being funny.
Right.
He's just yelling the N-word at people. Like, that's like, yeah, fuck this guy.
Like, there's a handful of comedians you would go to see that wouldn't offend you.
It's up to the audience to determine, am I listening to a comedian
Is it
right
fact
now?
or fiction?
Yeah. Like, we hold our comedians in the same standard we hold them in a higher standard than we would hold politicians. Like, yeah, comics have influence, but they don't have real power.
Yeah. They don't have power to control a country.
Yes. Patrice's favorite thing in the world was, I want half the crowd to hate me, and I want the other half the crowd to love me, and I would love to make them switch back and forth.
So do you have him high up there because of like the what if factor, or
No.
No. Okay.
What he produced in his lifetime was, Patrice is cemented. Bill Burr will often say Patrice was the greatest comic he ever saw live.
Right, but like we just don't have a lot of things to like. You just have to listen to albums.
Yeah, I have all of his albums, and then I've listened to fucking hundreds of hours of him on Opie and Anthony. There's a 10-hour compilation of him just talking about movies on Opie and Anthony.
Oh, okay.
And I've listened to it multiple times. He was just so funny and opinionated and mean and angry and resentful but then loving. He was just just such a unique voice in comedy that he was the police of what's funny. I don't think that this guy's a hack, but it's a funny story. Chris DiStefano just performed at the Patrice O'Neill benefit. There's one every year. Mm-hmm. And Rich Voss, he always hosts it, and he was introducing Chris DiStefano. DiStefano's coming on stage, and Rich Voss is walking past him, and he goes, Patrice would have hated you. It's true. It's probably true.